Hi, my name is Billy Cline. I own a company called YourNewDoor.com, formerly DFW Door Repair. I'm just here today to talk to you a little bit about my journey, what it looks like, what it may look like against what you're trying to do, and if I can be helpful, I would love to be able to do that for you. I am not here to sell you anything. I have nothing at all to offer other than helpful tips and advice and direction. I can maybe help you avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made, a lot of the mistakes that others have made that I have learned from without having to make them, and also help you avoid some of these quote unquote quote gurus out there who are just trying to sell things. There's a lot of people out there who are selling experience and they haven't even proven themselves to the marketplace against that experience. A lot of sales trainers and people out there who want to sell programs, how to run your business, how to market your business, all these things, and they have no proven track record of that. There's a whole economy built around gurus and helpful businesses trying to help other businesses. This whole B2C space, I'm learning, is very competitive and very expensive, and a lot of people are just trying to separate you from your hard-earned money. I have nothing to sell you. I want to give you nothing but value, and I will never try to give you advice against something that I haven't done yet. I'm still relatively early in my journey, my entrepreneurial journey, even though I've got a lot of time, getting to this point. The first 8 or 10 years that I was in business, I was just treading water. I was chasing money. I was doing a lot of things wrong, and I didn't realize what my goals were. I didn't have goals other than just to get more money to keep the perpetuation of my business going. No one was really making a lot of money. We were all putting in a lot of time and doing a lot of things, but no one was really making a lot of money. And it wasn't until I started to work on myself that I realized that until I fixed myself and my leadership qualities and capabilities, that no one was really going to do any good here. So one day I just decided that I had had enough. I was long enough in my entrepreneurial journey and far enough away from my entrepreneurial seizure to recognize that I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't listening to the right people. I wasn't growing myself. I wasn't helping myself, and I wasn't in a position to help others. And I decided that I want to grow my business, not necessarily just to help myself and my family financially, but to help others around me, to help my team members to grow and to do better than they can do selling their time somewhere else. And that really those are the two things that stand out to me as my why. I want to grow my financial position for myself and my family and leave a legacy for my family, but I also want those that have given their time to help me do that, the opportunity to grow their financial position in such a way that they can grow with the business. And the rising tide raises all ships comes to mind here. And I want everyone that works here to be able to do that and not just, sell their time to a company that cares nothing about them. So that's where culture comes in. Culture is very important. Culture is one of the bedrocks or pillars that you need to build your company on. And it's very hard to turn around when you get a long way down the road. So think about that as you grow your business, as you figure out who you are, where you want to be, where you're going. Culture is very important and needs to be factored in. I am no culture guru. I can tell you what I know, what we've learned along the way, and where we're going and where we're heading and what's working for us. But I am not the main authority on all things culture. One of the things that we have in our core values here at our business, and I live this and I want to be this way, is helpfulness. We want to help our clients by solving the problems that they have when they come to us for their door needs or door issues, and we want to be very helpful. A lot of people call us and we can't help them. We're not a good fit for the service that they need. So we'll give them a referral or a recommendation to someone who is. And being helpful sometimes means not doing the work ourselves, but pointing them in the right direction. And that is where my heart is at. I want to help others that are in their business or entrepreneurial journey know where to go and look for help. When I decided that I wanted to grow my business a couple of years ago, I had no idea where to start. If you're in the heating space, heating and air, plumbing, electrical, things like that, there's 100 associations out there that you can become a part of that will give you an operating system, best practices, CRM software, and all those things to start a business like that today and hit the ground running. Marketing. MySpace was a little bit different. I said MySpace. My vertical was a little bit different than any of those because there was no best practices. There's no documentation, none of those things. So I had to take what I knew and I had to find a place to start. And a lot of people early in their entrepreneurial journey, under $5 million in sales or revenue, a lot of times they want to do better and they want to grow their company, but they don't know where to start. And it all started for me was realizing I didn't know what I didn't know, and I wasn't just going to be able to figure it out and be profitable. So for me, it started with shifting and understanding my mindset. My mindset sucked. And I didn't know it. So when I dug in a little bit and I learned that I needed a new mindset, I read a couple books. One of those books was written by a man named Weldon Long, and it was called The Power of Consistency. It was an amazing book, and it really honed in on why I was the way I was. It helped me hone in on why I was the way I was and who I wanted to be, and shined a light for me against just not knowing what I didn't know. And that's okay. There's a lot of people out there who just don't know what they don't know. And the difference between those who are stuck and those who are moving is the ones that don't know what they don't know finally realize that the key to success is to reach out to someone who does. I have been so fortunate to have been helped by so many very successful businessmen and entrepreneurs in all services of home, all sectors of home service that have given time, resources, mentorship, all sorts of very high level help that you can't really get by paying someone for, or gurus that brought so much value to myself, my business, and my family that I'll never be able to repay that. The only way that I can repay it is by paying it forward and helping others who may be in a similar situation. So that's my goal. That's my purpose with this content that we're recording, is to be helpful. And that may sound weird. I have nothing to sell you. I don't want to sign you up for anything. I just want to point you in the right direction and give you some things to think about and helpful ideas that help me get to where I'm at. I am still looking for information and ideas that's going to help me get to where I want to go. The cool thing about being an entrepreneur in business is that it's an infinite journey. Simon Sinek wrote a book about that called The Infinite Game. The premise of the book is that if you're always growing and always doing, if you own a business, you have to be growing. If you're not growing, you're dying. So once you come to a level and you say, I just want to stay right here, I don't want to grow anymore, that's the moment you start to die and wither on the vine. If you're ripe, you're dying. If you're green and growing, you always have a blue ocean in front of you. So always be growing. And in the process of always being growing means you're always going to be outgrowing your fishbowl. If you're not outgrowing your fishbowl, it's the same thing. You're staying in the same place, you're stagnant, and you're probably, your business is probably slowly dying. To outgrow your fishbowl, you have to go out in the world and network and meet people who have been where you hope to be, who have already climbed that mountain, who have already moved on to the next one, and can offer you real world help and advice against where you're trying to go. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not terribly complicated once you speak to someone who has already been there. For me, a lot of times it doesn't take a whole lot for me to have a light bulb come on or something click for me to help us get over a procedural hump or things like that. So I'm going to just share with you a little about my journey as we go, as we produce this content. It's for nothing more than for me to help others, because I've had so many in my life who have helped me get to this point. We're just getting started. We have just scratched the surface. We're starting to get our feet under us a little bit. And the ultimate goal is to become operationally excellent. And until you're operationally excellent, you can grow to a certain point, but once you get $5-6 million a year in sales and revenue, and the amount of people it takes to do that, you really have to become operationally excellent to go any further than that. If you have a lot of bad habits, if you have a lot of bad people, rotten apples in your team, things like that, you're going to, at a certain point, you're going to grow through your ceiling and get to a point, and it's just going to become chaos, because everyone on your team has to be bought into your vision. You have to have a vision. That's probably one of the early level principles that you need to know, is you have to have a vision for where you're going. In the Bible, it says, without a vision, the people will perish. And it's the same way is true in your business. You may have someone in your business that is, if they're left alone or to their own devices, or you don't connect with them on a regular level, they start to feel distant. They start to feel like they're not part of the team. They start to act out or create issues. And I've found that everyone really needs a constant contact in your business to connect with your vision and to be a big picture cheerleader for where you're hoping to take things. And if you don't have everyone in your business at some point bought into your vision and supporting your vision with a whatever it takes attitude, then you probably need to consider letting that person off the bus, because it's not going to get a whole lot better as time goes if they don't buy into your vision. So, foundational step, create a vision. Within that foundational step, you need to share your vision with your team, and your team will help you implement the things that it will take to fulfill that vision. Once you have a big picture vision, you need to chop it down into smaller bites. 5-year goal, 10-year goal, 1-year goal, quarterly goals, daily goals, all the things. When I started my business, I thought that making money in business was taking a box full of receipts to my accountant at the end of the year to find out if we made money or not, or if we were going to have to pay in. I would cross my fingers and be like, oh gosh, I hope we don't have to pay in. Well, guess what? If you're not paying in, you didn't make any money for the most part. Now, there are, deductions and all those things that help you eat up some profits to avoid paying in. But paying in taxes is a good problem to have. It means you made money. Now, you may mismanage your money along the year and you have no money left to pay your taxes. That's just a symptom of something else. Either you're overspending, you're living out of your business, or some other thing. Your price book isn't right. So owing money at the end of the year for taxes is not necessarily a bad thing. Not preparing for that along the year means that you've got some other things disconnected and you need to fix that. So foundational step, is that whole mindset shift and having a vision. It's hard to have a vision without a mindset shift. For me, I was raised by people who were relatively small-minded people, and I don't mean that in a bad way. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't know that the world is your oyster, or, growing up, our parents always told us you can be the president someday if you want, or you can be a millionaire if you want. Problem is, that's about as far as it ever went, telling us we could be those things and expecting the world to teach us how. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is for a lot of people. They never educate themselves or find out what it takes to be whatever it is you want. Number one, the hardest part about reaching a goal is actually setting the goal. And until you set that goal for yourself and then break it down into segments that are achievable in bites, you're always just going to be like, I have no clue how to get there. So a lot of people say, one day I will do that. Something I heard on a podcast this morning is to not say one day, but day one, right? Today is day one. Set the goal. Day one. What do I need to do to achieve this? What does that look like? Some goals are going to be really big, and if it doesn't scare you, it's not big enough. If you don't think there is no way we're going to achieve that or have any clue on your big picture goal, then if you don't know, then it's not big enough. So set a goal, that is achievable by you and your team over time, or you think that it is, and start there and then break that down into bites. If you set a 10-year goal, a 5-year goal, and then 3-year goals within that. Most people underestimate what they can do in 5 years and overestimate what they can do in 1 year. That's just a way it works. So try to be as unrealistic and realistic as you can with yourself at the same time. Our big picture goal is to do 100 million in sales by 2030. So that's about 6.5 years from now to be $100 million per year in sales. So what does that look like? We have to break it down and back it out from there. Year over year, based off of what we know now, based off of our growth, we're going to hit a lot of ceilings. We're going to break through a lot of ceilings. We're going to get on a lot of new floors and plateaus to grow off of. We're going to have to learn new things. We're going to have to train new people and always be growing. So just to kind of take it back to the beginning, I want to help. I want to help people who are looking for where to start. I want to help people who have no clue what's next, have no clue who to ask for help, have no clue on any direction. I may not have all the answers, but I promise I know someone who does have an answer or who can help you find whatever's next in your journey. I have nothing to sell you. I have no interest in signing you up for anything. I just want to help people. So I'm going to start my content journey with that foundational principle in mind. I just want to be helpful. One of the biggest things that was helpful to me early on that I didn't realize what it was about until I started doing it was going to networking events. And when I say networking events, I mean a lot of times it'll be an industry show or an industry workshop or something like that. That is a lot of successful people talking about what it took for them to become successful and all getting to the same place at the same time. So one of the things is that I didn't realize when I went to my very first, I guess you call it a trade show, a conference, that's probably better, a business conference, was I went to Pantheon in 2022, April of 2022. We were just kind of coming out of COVID. And I went to Pantheon. I wasn't going to go, and my CSM at the time from from Service Titan. Service Titan is our CRM that we use. We had an account manager who helped us with everything within our account. She gave me free tickets. I just hired my new operations manager here, Dan. I don't even think he'd been here a couple days, and we both flew out to California. We went to Pantheon. My attitude when I got there was all the things that we're hearing or we're going to hear is the same stuff that I can get from any of the podcasts that I've been listening to. But what I underestimated was the networking value, meeting new people who have already gone through what we're going through, who are helpful, who are happy to help, who were gurus in their own right, but happy to give free help, free information. I've had people fly at their own expense to my office, to my facility, to my business, to see what we do, to try and be helpful. And I can't tell you how much that means to me that there are people out there like that. I have yet to meet a single person who is successful, who is viewed as a huge success by the community at large in entrepreneurship, who have not been helpful or have not been willing to help in some way without, asking for anything in return, especially financial compensation. Everyone that is successful for the most part wants to see others succeed, and they will do anything to help. I have the same heart. I want to be helpful. I don't know it all, but I know enough between where I started and where we're at now. So if you're a company under $5 million a year, I probably have some knowledge or ideas that will at least help you get started, point you in the right direction, point you to someone who can be helpful, software, thoughts, ideas, processes, things that were helpful to us that I'm willing to share and happy to do so. That in and of itself is the main reason I want to do this, just to be helpful. Pantheon last year opened my eyes to the value of networking, to the value of connecting with others, to creating relationships with other business people, to being able to start a networking group on my own with some of those people. I have text thread groups that I'm in. where we just kind of bounce ideas off of each other. We're all kind of about the same size, going through a lot of the same things, and just connecting with different ideas sometimes is a very big value. And having that team or that group of entrepreneurs to connect with is priceless, because we all have different ideas, we all have different ways to do stuff, and having that support group is very valuable. So consider that as you go along this journey. Make connections with people. Go to industry events, go to industry workshops, things like that, and connect with people. Stick your hand out to someone you don't know. Stick your hand out to someone who's got a very big reputation in the industry, and I bet that they'd be willing to help. Reach out to me. I'm more than willing, and hope that people will reach out to me for help and advice along their own journey. I will never stick my neck out further to tell you how to do something that I haven't done yet. And like I said, we're pretty early in our journey, but we're going places, and we're doing it by doing the same thing, reaching out to people who are above and beyond where we are, already been through where we want to go. And, a lot of times the principles they share with us don't take up a lot of their time, but create such a big impression or lasting help that it a lot of times will become a breakthrough for you. And it doesn't mean much to the person who's helping you other than they're happy to help. So consider that as you go on this journey. Pantheon was really big. I'm actually leaving today to go to Pantheon 2023 for the sole reason, mostly of networking. I know there will be a lot of great content and put out, but the networking aspect alone is priceless. So don't look past that. I'm going to talk a lot about foundational things that were important to me in growing my business along the way. Mindset shift, coming up with networking, opportunities, coming up with things that helped us structurally with software, and just super simple principles like creating systems and procedures in our business. I know that sound checklists. That's almost as old as a stone tablet, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't have any of these simple tools employed in their business at all, and you're just running around with your hair on fire. I've been there. I understand what it's like to run around like your hair is on fire and setting other people's hair on fire that are just trying to do their job. So before you know it, you have everyone with their hair on fire trying to put out fires, and it becomes chaos. And it was a bit of a shift for me after we started to grow the company and to get a lot more organized. What to do with my time. It was a struggle for me because I've been so used for so long being a problem solver and solving problems. It took me a minute to be able to shift my mindset and my focus from, all right, what's the next step that's going to grow the business, from being a firefighter that was just putting out fires all day long. And it may be like that for you too. So just focus on making improvements. 1% per day over 100 days is 100% improvement. Once you start focusing on growing your business and doing things right, your business will grow in dog years. And that's what I like to say to people. From last April, when I went to Pantheon, and the mindset shift that I got, the networking that came along with that, and creating goals and plans, my business is literally growing in dog years. We've had, when I say dog years, meaning 1 year is equal to or greater than 7 years of organic, natural growth. And my business is growing in dog years now. So, 7 years worth of business growth in 1 year is amazing. And it just kind of geometrically progresses over time as you meet the right people, get in the right rooms, get in rooms that you don't think you belong in, with people that you don't know, people who are, people you hold way high above you, because they'll let you in those rooms and let you become part of success. Get yourself in those rooms with those people. They'll be more than happy to help. One thing that I've learned to do is to go to the headwaters. I didn't realize this, and what that means is when you're struggling with something, don't just tickle around the edges. Don't find a stream that leads to the river that leads to the headwaters. Go straight to the source. Find the most successful person in an area that you need help in, and go straight to that person. You don't have to tickle around. Save all your money and do that. the amount of money and time that you'll save by not going through all these back channels and trying to save money and to do all these things, you're going to waste a lot of time and a lot of money to do that than you are by going directly to the source of things that you need help with. And a lot of times when you get in these bigger groups with these more successful people, you'll start to hear names and you'll start to hear chatter on these people and companies that can help you, get the success you need without having to make all these mistakes and to go through all these redundant, exercises. Just go straight to the source, to the most successful person you can afford to find, and start there. You don't have to start there, but you will eventually get to where your time is more valuable than it's going to take to waste all your time along these paths that are eventually going to lead you to this person or this company in the first place. And that is really a big principle, quote unquote, secret to success, is to get yourself in the biggest place, in the biggest room with the biggest person, the biggest success that you can as quickly as you can, and learn by proximity. You don't even have to ask questions a lot of times. You get in these rooms and you just listen to the conversations that are going on amongst successful people, and you may hear something that will help you with something you've been struggling with just by listening and being in proximity. Go to these conferences and one-off events and get around successful people. It's expensive. It's very expensive. But how expensive is it to not knowing, where you're wanting to go or who you want to be? Alex Hormozy, I heard in one of his videos the other day, Alex Hormozy is a great source of information. Watch all of his videos. Patrick Bet-David's another one, especially Patrick's earlier content on YouTube before he started his podcast. There is so much good foundational entrepreneurial information in his channel on some of his older videos. But anyway, Alex Hormozy said the other day, or I'm going to paraphrase and probably mess it up, but someone was in a conference that made $100,000 a year. They wanted to make $1 million a year. The difference between $100,000 and $1 million is $900,000. And the difference between them making $100,000 and $1 million is what they didn't know. So that knowledge gap cost them $900,000 a year. So what you don't know is literally costing you however much it is in that gap for you. So educate yourself. It doesn't mean to go to university. It doesn't mean to go to college. You're driving around for hours a week in your car. Turn it into a university. Listen to a podcast. Listen to a book. Always be educating yourself and learning new things. So the difference between who you are now and what you're making today and what you want to make in whatever period of time you think that is your education. If you're not making what you want to make today, it's because you don't know what it takes. Educate yourself. Go and seek that out and become who you were meant to become. Not only for yourself, but for your people, for the people you lead, for your family. You owe it to all of you, yourself mostly.